The short track theme continues this week as we jump back in feet first with SARA and the Sim Rap Market Fall Brawl 250. Though tonight it's all about locking in 31 drivers to the 11th annual edition of this event and sending the other 8 packing. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Pensacola, Florida. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with nobody alongside this evening, and it's a pleasure to join you for coverage of the Sim Auto Racing Association Impel Motorsports National Tour for the Sim Rap Market Fall Brawl 250. Tonight's coverage is, of course, brought to you by Impel Motorsports, by Sim Rap Market, and by Whiplash Simcams. Practice is wrapping up. There's not a lot to talk about there. Kendall Tucker has paced the session. Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum right behind. Joe Schaefer Jr., Riley Stengham, and others in the conversation. They are all quick, but we have got a heck of a ride for you here this evening. We've got a lot of racing on tap. This is going to be a fun day, I think, and a nice way to continue on what has already been a really cool week of racing at the virtual Five Flags Speedway. Before we get too much further, let's take a quick look at times as the session winds down. Kendall Tucker, Ryan Kuhn, Alex McCullum, the top 3, as I mentioned. You see the rest of the top 10 there, all very close, all within a 10th through the top, I don't know, 15 or so cars. Top 18 cars actually, all within a 10th. And we have got 40 actually ready to go, it looks like, as I believe Colin Allman might have been the one that was added, as we don't have a number for him, but that's okay. It'll all get sorted out for tomorrow if he makes the show, and best of luck to him. Hopefully he does make the show. He's been a great driver lately, but as qualifying gets ready to go, we'll give these guys a moment to figure out who's going first. I believe that's going to be Ryan Kuhn or Kyle Meyer. I saw their names at the top of the list. Quickly, track map here. It is Five Flags Speedway. We went over this on Monday, rather. Nothing has changed. It is the classic Five Flags Speedway that we know and love. We'll of course circle back to this. We've got qualifying heading out to the racetrack in just a moment. In this Whiplash Simcams race details, it's maybe a good point to talk about. We are locking in the top 10 from qualifying. So 40 cars qualifying, top 10 lock in. We then will run 2 75-lap heat races where the top 7 will lock in from each of those. So if you're doing the math, that's 10 locking in, 7 from each heat race, or qualifying race, if you will. That's 24 so far. Then we'll have a 50-lap LCQ where the top 4 will lock in. That's 28. 3 provisionals will give us a total of 31 cars starting tomorrow's Fall Brawl 250. Weather conditions, that's worth talking about here in the sim. Cody Williams designed weather conditions, ambient temp 75.6, track temp 90 degrees out there, decently warm. Humidity is pretty low, I will say, for Pensacola, Florida. There's the time remaining. How about the date and time, though? It is November 20th in sim, so not too bad. I think that's maybe a slightly warm track temp for what these guys maybe want, but I think that's pretty much on par with what you would expect. So heading out onto the racetrack first will be Ryan Kuhn. And car number 72 has got a brand new look. I like it. Ryan Kuhn out of Massachusetts on the racetrack first. We saw those track conditions, weather conditions. Let's see what the 72 car can do here. This will set the tone for the entire session. A 15.733 for Ryan right off the bat, and seems like he'll be happy with that. Of course, 2-lap qualifying, single car. Sending them out one at a time. And the RKM setup shop number 72 comes right back down the pit lane. So not a bad way to get started. Next up, it seems as though it may be Jacob Harbert's hitting the racetrack next, but I could have sworn it should have been, yeah, Kyle Meyer is listed. He is not yet in his car. I'm checking, double checking. Yeah, he's here in the session, but not yet in his car. Never mind. Oh, we've got this happening. Okay. This is a heat race session, so bear with me. He's just gone. We missed his lap, but Kyle Meyer out of Virginia has just gone out And now we've got Cameron Hamilton heading out. Okay. So they're in run groups, so bear with me. I've got the list of the order to go with here on the right side of me. I can at least follow through and do things the old-fashioned way. It's just they're not showing on the racetrack for me initially if they're in a different run group. That's okay. Here is Cameron Hamilton out of Tennessee. A little loose there for turn 4, but Hamilton will turn a 15.787. Myers lap, by the way, a 15.804. Hamilton will shut it down, bring it back to the pit lane, and it'll be Jacob Hayes up next in car number 1. These run groups, man, they mess with me. I'm not used to it. Of course, we have a little time in between doing these kinds of events as it is, but then you throw in the fact that the run groups aren't always used, and we don't always do this style of qualifying, and it just makes it that much more confusing each time we do this kind of qualifying. But there's Jacob Hayes. Out of North Kakalaki. Lap 1 for Jacob Hayes, a 15.838. He'll go for lap 2. And driver number 1, sharing that number with Alex McCullum, bottom of the list out of the 4 qualifiers so far. But of course, that lap time can stand, right? I mean, yes, it is a 10th off, so based on practice, we think maybe somewhere in the range of 18th, 19th place. But as we transition over here to Spencer Dickinson, of course, we don't know exactly how the weather is going to change over the course of this session. Times could stand that we don't expect to stand. But if I had to guess, I would say Hayes might end up somewhere just inside that top 20. Again, the top 10 lock in. Straight to the feature, so that's what everybody's going for, is somewhere in that top 10. Don't want to have to go through qualifying races, but even so, I think if you qualify somewhere, even 11th to 15th, you're in okay territory, as Spencer Dickinson will go 5th out of 5 so far. Samuel Roush on the racetrack. He's already got some right front damage. He hit the wall, I think, getting up to speed. The right front has definitely been in the wall. Driver out of Arizona will turn a 16.088. That is an abysmal lap time. Not at all what he wanted. That will turn things over to Kendall Tucker in the 00. And Tucker is already on the racetrack. Driver out of North Carolina. Kendall has been so good lately. Turning a lot of heads, I think, since opening up this brand new season of the Super Series. The Pierce Fleet Service Super Series that began back in October. Kendall running in over at the Black Magic Performance Group with, of course, Alex McCullum, Jacob Harberts, and others. Lap 1, 4th quick out of 7. And across the stripe there, he will go slower. So the fast lap for Tucker will be a 15.815. Brian Tedeschi will hit the racetrack, 8th car to do so. One of our Midwest drivers out of Indiana. Lap 1, 15.87. Well, it finalizes down to a 15.85, so a little better, but 7th out of 8. Leaves a lot on the board. That checks in just behind Spencer Dickinson. Hendrick Cryer will hit the racetrack next. He won the street stock race on Monday night. Definitely a driver worth paying attention to today and tomorrow. So long as he makes it into tomorrow's show. You see the RKM Setup Shop logo on the back of that race car. Again, got the week started off right. Won on Monday evening in the street stock. I believe went top 5 or so in the late model stock later on that night, but lap 1 for Kendrick, a 15.829. He's going to shut it down. That's 5th out of 9. And if the trend continues, that could theoretically be about halfway through the field, but I think you're going to want to be a little bit faster than that. That's just within that 10th mark. And again, if Ryan's lap stands, Ryan Kuhn, first on the racetrack, fastest so far, assuming Ryan's lap stands as what will be pole time, you want to try to be, I think, within about 6/10 of that to try and go for a top 10. Sorry, 6/100 to go for a top 10. Because in practice alone, 1/10 off was down around 19th spot. Kyle Souza, lap 1. A 15.866, driver out of Massachusetts. Loose off of turn 4, he's going to shut it down. That is it for the Souza Media number 7. Brad Carpenter, driver number 31 at the racetrack next out of Idaho. Always love seeing Brad on the racetrack. That bright green number 31, hard to miss. This car just looks like it belongs at a short track, I will say. Like, it just fits so well. Lap 1 for Brad, a 15.877. He's going to keep it going. Try to go a little faster. It sounded sour off of 2 and sour again off of 4. So Carpenter will go 10th quick. Blake Massengill next up. And he'll hit the racetrack here in car number 10. Blake Massengill with Coddled Chassis has turned a lot of heads, I feel like, last handful of months within not just the Super Series, but also this National Tour, which of course is across super late models, late model stocks, you know, that variety of different race car. It's not a ton of variety, it's the 2 late models on iRacing, but it's enough to definitely see who's better in the late model stock, who's better in the Super. And Massengill a little off here in qualifying, 10th quick out of 12. Leaves a little to be wishing for. Kyle Turzak on the racetrack next. Driver out of Virginia. Hey, another new paint scheme on that 15 car. I like it. Oh, he's going to shut it down after 1 lap. That's 3rd quick, though. Not bad for Kyle. I mentioned earlier, you know, 5/600ths of a second off. He's in that neighborhood, 15.796. But definitely further off than I would have expected for Turzak. Derek Robinson going to hit the racetrack next. Robinson over in this other run group. There he is. Driver out of Kentucky will go 13th quick out of 14 so far. A 15.904. Next car out, Joel Smith. The Pro Champion in U.S. Legend Cars in 2025. How about that? The Pro National Champion. Driver originally out of Michigan, now out of North Carolina. Definitely has reason to hang his head high going into the winter. And for Joel, it's going to be 6th quick, not too bad. I mean, a 15.828. I'd say that's on track to be somewhere in the top half of these 40 cars. Lap 2, just a tick slower. 15.855 for Joel Smith. Next up, Nim Cross. The number 07 gonna hit the racetrack. Nim out of Pennsylvania. Love this paint scheme. He debuted it on the late model stock on Monday night. Loved it on that car. Love it even more on this car. This is a really good looking car. The iRacing Arcade 07. Really good looking car. And for Nim Cross, it is a 15.9. 15.924. 15th quick out of 16 that have qualified, so right down there with Sam Roush. After Nim, we'll send RJ Williams around. He's already been on the racetrack, trying to find him here on my list. There we go. There's RJ. Out of North Carolina, the High Rock Vodka. Number 21. I just ran out of High Rock. I need to go get another bottle. Need to stock back up. RJ, a familiar face, a veteran in these parts. Another really good looking paint scheme. Tracy Petter was saying we need to do a best in show contest for this race. I'm somewhat inclined. Drop a line, get in contact. Maybe we can do something over on social media. 12th quick for RJ out of 17. A 15.877. That's just behind Kyle Souza and just ahead of Blake Massagill. In fact, those lap times tied between Williams and Massagill. Here we go. A driver I've got my eyes on this week. Chase Williamson was great in the late model stock, has been fantastic as of late in the Pierce Fleet Service Super Series. Lap 1, 15.765, position number 2. It's not quite the bell ringer that would have been a pole time for Chase Williamson out of South Carolina. I think that's one that he can be happy with. About halfway through the field as well. Joe Schaefer Jr. next up on the racetrack. Driver out of Wisconsin. Riding around on board with Joe Schaefer Jr. Lap 1 for driver number 6. Looking to beat the other 6 car. Spencer Dickinson drops to 11th as Joe Schaefer Jr. cracks the top 5. Just 2/1000th of a second slower than Kyle Terzak. Schaefer runs a 15.797. That's good for 5th for the posse driver. That'll bring Daryl Hamlin on the racetrack in car number 7. The other 7, I suppose. That's one of the 2 7s. There we go. There's Daryl Hamlin. Doesn't run these larger events quite as often as some others, but good to see Daryl on the racetrack tonight going for a Fall Brawl 250 start. And it's a solid lap time, 10th quick out of 20. So on track to be top half of the field out of Virginia. A 15.830, right at that 10th mark off of pole. Mitch Drunowski hitting the racetrack, car 14. That's Grant Brown. That's the other 14. Here's Drunowski off of quarter number 4. Open Trailer Mafia. A little free off of 2, maybe. I'm curious, those of you watching, there's a bunch of you. How much prep have you guys all put in for this race? Obviously, the track has been known for plenty of time, months. So you've known where this race would be held, and that this is one of the larger, if not the largest race on the calendar for SARA this year. How much time have you actually put into practicing? I'm curious, because we see some of these setups still a little bit off, a little loose, firing off a little free here in qualifying. I'm purely curious. It's fascinating to me how much time actually goes into these setups and whatnot. Car 86 though up next. Justin Crow out of Florida. As that was Drunowski's run. Drunowski will. Let's see. Drunowski's going to be 4th quick. That was actually a big run for Mitch. I was kind of looking at other monitors, but Mitch a solid lap. Justin Crow a little off here on his run. 9th quick. Not bad for Justin at all. But leaves a little bit to be desired, I would say. After Justin Crow, we'll send the other 14 car around. That'll be Grant Brown. Grant out of Minnesota has been in the broadcast booth as of late. Martinsville and Nashville, both races that he commentated with us, and oh so thankful that he did so. Oh boy, Grant looking for a lot more on lap 2. That Firebird did not fire off right at all. A 15.911. Nearly 2/10 off of pole. Lap 2, is it any better? No. The weather conditions, have they changed? No, I think it's static. I don't think they're changing at all. I don't think the clouds are even changing. I'm pretty sure it's static across the board. Excuse me, to give everybody an equal opportunity here. Here's Jacob Schneider, though. All black, number 81 car. Don't know much about Jacob yet. If anybody has any information, we'll take it. And Brett Suggs with probably the most accurate answer of the night. Wondering how much time these guys put into practice. Yeah, probably won't get a straight answer out of any of these guys. 15.915, second lap for Schneider. That's slower than his 15.867. That's 17th quick. We'll turn things over to Dallas Pataska. You know, we just wrapped up a full season with the Major Series in 2025, covering the Americas region. Got very used to seeing Dallas in the mix in those races. Good to see Major's Garage on the quarter panels and back bumper of this Chevrolet. Dallas out of Wisconsin at 15.812, showing off those building skills. That's a good lap. It's in the top 10 so far. The top 10 extends down to Justin Crowe, so you can kind of see who is currently in, who is currently out of the automatic lock-in to the show. Next car out after Pataska. How about the heavy hitter, Alex McCullum? New paint scheme, how about that? You know, there was that social media post that Matt Rolfe put out over on the SARA channels that showed his car getting unloaded. Clearly, they wrapped it in a hurry, and it's fast. 15.729 for Alex. Just one lap is all he needs. And that bodes well for the rest of Black Magic Performance. He gets pole by 4/1000ths of a second. Ryan had to know that when McCullum hit the racetrack, he was in danger, and boy, car number one very quick. Here's South Carolina's Josh Cottle. I've grown to love this candy apple red, number 13. Lap one for Cottle. How about third? That unseats Chase Williamson right behind Ryan Kuhn. I would say right now I would expect the top 3, maybe 4 or 5 to be safe at the front of the field in the top 10, but who knows? As Josh Cottle puts down a 15.762, it will be Colin Allman on the racetrack next. Car number 67 out of Florida. Home racetrack here for Colin. I know Florida could be anywhere. Florida could be down closer to Sebring or Miami, but Pensacola is at least within state borders. How about that? As Colin gets a lap in, that's going to be, wow, 9/1000ths off of pole. Third quick, Colin Allman. He has been really, really good as of late. And how about, in that case, sending Steven Oberstadt around, car number 3? How about this for a Best in Show entry? That is really freaking cool. Wood Creek Club. I'm not a golfer. I simply can't golf. I'm not physically able to do it. I can't. I'm awful. But that makes me want to go golf. 28th quick lap 1, looking for a whole lot more. 18 holes worth maybe on lap number 2. Oberstadt, a 15.9. He picks up. That'll be 25th quick. That's at least a better start position for the qualifying races, but definitely a lot more that he's going for. Really good looking paint scheme, though. That is really, really cool. Matt Rolfe himself can hit the racetrack out of Maine. I noticed this paint scheme sitting on pit lane earlier when I loaded into the session. That looks really nice. I like it. It's simple yet technical, and for Matt, it's a top 10 lap time of 15.775. Gonna go for the second lap. May as well. He will slow down a little bit on lap number 2, but he will stay in the top 10. 6th quick. That puts him ahead of guys like Hamilton, Dronowski, Terzak, and Schaefer. At one point, I said Hamilton might have been safe. I'm starting to doubt that. Still Langford is next up on the racetrack. Car number 33 recently moved over to the posse from Black Magic Performance, or at least what became Black Magic. Driver out of North Carolina. Lap 1 goes on the books, and he will shut it down. Must be happy. 4th quick. I would be too. That moves Josh Cottle down to 5th, Chase Williamson to 6th, Rolf to 7th, Hamilton to 8th, Brunowski and Terzak follow up the rest of the top 10. After that, it'll be Jacob Harberts hitting the racetrack. There's a preview of Aaron Johnson's paint scheme. Here's Jacob Harberts. Black Magic Performance Zone out of Florida. Let's see what he's got. To the line, watching the hands there on the left side of the screen. Jacob Harberts, 15.740. Just a tick slower than Colin Allman. He will shut it down. Harberts goes 4th. 32 have now qualified. Aaron Johnson now on the racetrack, and we saw a little preview of this car. That might take the cake. That fits Fall Brawl to a T. That is incredible. For being very monotone, very orange, that is an incredible paint scheme. 918 Custom Designs putting in some work. That is awesome. Driver out of Alabama. 15.806. 14th quick out of 33. It'll at least be a good starting spot for the qualifying races. As Parker Traves gets up to speed. Driver out of Ontario, one of our few Canadians racing this week. Parker's one to watch. He's sneaky good. I've been singing his praises lately. I know some might think I've been talking trash, but I really think on a good day for Parker, he is one to watch for a win. 15.7, it's in the neighborhood. 7.57, that's 6th. That might hold for a top 10. I mean, you got Jeffrey, Stengen, Petter, Kraus, Pope, and Grout left to go. That just might hold for a top 10. Parker Traves just might be locked in based on that. Keith Jeffrey, car number 88, gonna hit the racetrack next. Driver out of Washington, off the West Coast. How about that? Keep telling Keith, top 5, we'll talk to you, we'll add an interview. Can he potentially start up there? Lap 1, Keith Jeffrey to the line. 15.8. That'll be 22nd quick out of 35 times so far. He's happy enough with it. Does put a good number of cars behind him for the qualifying races as Tracy Petterer hits the racetrack. There we go. Now, I'm a Christmas man. I do love fall. But Christmas is my holiday, man. This is awesome as well. This definitely is going to fit the bill for the next couple of months for Tracy to run. Driver out of New York, this will fit in perfectly for the Winter Derby here on iRacing. That is intricate. 15.7, that's in the neighborhood. That's going to be top 10, I think. Yeah, 9th position. Matt Rolfe just might get bumped here. Heck, Petter could as well. That's 9th out of 36 so far. Riley Stengen could knock either one of them out of the top 10. I guess it'd be Rolfe first, then Petter. New paint scheme there for Stengen. Moving over to the posse, it looks like. That leaves just Kraus, Pope, and Grout to go. I believe Kraus is going to be added on as a 40th entry. We were told 39 at the top of the day. Here's Stengen's first lap. 15.756. That's pretty sporty. 6th spot for Stengen. That'll knock Matt Rolfe out of the top 10. And Jake Grout will hit the racetrack next in car 49 out of Vermont. You know, Kyle Terzak finally got the monkey off his back, got a big SARA win in the Super Series. Grout doesn't run the Super Series, but he runs these National Tour events. Could he be next in line? 21st quick, lap 1 for Jake. He's looking for a lot more, and he will shut it down on lap 2. That leaves Daniel Pope and Derek Kraus to qualify. Pope gonna hit the racetrack in car number 11. He's kind of been there, done that on the sim. Search up Daniel Pope, the second on iRacing. You'll see some of his accolades. We'll let that all do the talking here for Daniel as he begins lap number 1. Let's go on board. Decent lap 1 to 15.846. It's 28th quick, and he shuts it down. Gets into the wall. And Derek Kraus will be the final car, it looks like, here this evening, but I don't see him hitting the racetrack. He might have thought he had entered and might not have entered, so he's listed as being in the session, but I don't think he's actively in the car, and it doesn't seem like he's going to qualify here. So it looks like we've got our 39 starters, and that looks good for Alex McCullum. Oh, never mind, somebody just fired up. Who was that? It was not Kraus. I got a little concerned there for a second, but Alex McCullum looks like will be our pole sitter. Well, I say pole sitter. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier. We do have a wheel, so we're going to spin this wheel at the intermission, the warm-up, I guess, between qualifying races and the LCQ. So we've got our top 10, right? Alex McCullum qualified first. But he's not going to... Well, he may start there, I suppose. We're going to do a redraw. And I worked with Matt on this. We have a wheel. I'm actually entering names right now. We have a wheel. We're going to spin 4 positions. We'll go literally down the order. We'll go... unless Matt has a problem with it, we'll go 10 to first. Or, well... No, it'd be a lot more fun, I guess, if we did it first to 10th. We'll do that way. Anyways. We'll literally draw 4 positions. It'll be on the broadcast. We'll have that as the kind of intermission between qualifying races and LCQ, and that'll be our nice little break between that, and then we'll send the LCQ out to finalize the last few positions and move on down the line. So that will do it for qualifying for the 2025 edition of the Fall Brawl 250. And we will get ready for qualifying races. Remember, top 10 locked in, so they're out of here. That leaves us 29 cars. I had to do quick math. I don't know why it took me a second, but 29 cars to qualify for these 14 spots through the qualifying races. We will have 15 here in qualifying race number 1. Weather conditions, have they changed? A little bit. The track has cooled down slightly. Humidity is just about the same. Not much difference there, as Matt Rolfe will lead us to the green in qualifying race number 1. Mitch Drunowski will join him on that front row. Starting from third, it'll be Joe Schaefer Jr. on the inside of row 2. Aaron Johnson from 4th place. How about Kendall Tucker, Jake Grout, row 3? That's a row to watch for sure. And then the final transfer spot on the grid will be Kendrick Cryer. Remember, 7 cars will advance. That's just under half of this 15-car field. Keith Jeffrey, the first car on the outside looking in. Spencer Dickinson, Brian Tedeschi, they're close. They've got work to do. Jacob Schneider, Blake Massengill will start back in row number 6. Steven Oberstadt, Grant Brown, and Samuel Roush will bring up the rear of the field with, I suppose, the most work to do here in qualifying race number 1. Glad to have you all watching here this evening. This is a big week of racing for not just the Sim Auto Racing Association, but us here at Pit Stop TV as a whole. Of course, we had Monday night with the street stocks and late model stocks. We had ARCA cars here last night for UERA. For us, we were at North Wilkesboro last night, but we are back here this evening, of course, for preliminary racing in the Supers. Then we have the Supers in the 250 lapper tomorrow, 8:45 Eastern. Then we take Thanksgiving off. We come back with a full week of racing again. ARCA cars at Chicagoland for BRB. And we'll have late model stocks at Southern National for the Thanksgiving Classic here in the SARA Impel Motorsports National Tour. Around turns 3 and 4 to get the qualifying races underway. Mount Rolfe leads us to the green. Let's go heat racing. Our field of 15 looks good so far through one lap. Aaron Johnson slots in line, single file all the way down to him. One car in the wall, that's Jake Grout. Kendall Tucker tries to get away. Your top 5, top 6 now. Single file. First side-by-side fight is for the transfer. And Kendrick Kreiner will slot in line ahead of Spencer Dickinson and Keith Jeffrey. 3 wide now, Jeffrey out of line. He's going to fall back on the outside. Tedeschi gives him a fender, and Jeffrey gets way free. Now Tedeschi gets hit. That's going to be a crash. Jeffrey in the wall. Blake Massengill sideways, no caution. Our 75-lap heat race continues on. This is pretty long for a heat race, I'm going to be honest. This is pretty lengthy for a heat or qualifying race. These guys have a long ways to go, 70 laps to go, even there at the stripe. Mitch Trunowski putting in some work, trying to chase down race leader Matt Rolfe. Here you see the gap between these two. You know, Matt won the UERA race here last night, Grant Brown's league. So clearly, Matt can get it done. Just needs the right situation, I guess. He leads here. Lap number 8 has led since the drop of the green here in this first heat race of the night. Gotta hate what happened to Keith Jeffrey there on the front straightaway. He was kind of minding his own business, got shuffled up the racetrack in turn 2. And Tedeschi just got up underneath him, made a little bit of contact, and then I forget who that was even underneath. I think it was Schneider underneath Tedeschi. I mean, it's just racing, but it sucks for Keith for sure. He's got a lot of damage, and I don't see him making it through this qualifying race. There's still the LCQ. And of course, it's not like real life where the car has to be fixed before the LCQ. Otherwise, I think Keith would be, you know, benefited in pulling off and fixing it, right? If that were the case. He will get a fresh car for the LCQ, be able to go out there and do what he does and try to make the show that way. And of course, he can try and get a provisional here tonight and make it in that way. Matt Rolfe leads, Mitch Trunowski second, Joe Schaefer Jr. third. Don't look now, Aaron Johnson is on his back bumper. Very close there through 3 and 4. The track has definitely got plenty of rubber. They had 15 minutes of practice. Single car qualifying. I wonder what the track state was at to start the session. But even just in these 15 laps, they've put plenty of rubber down. It's definitely got a groove. If I had to guess, what Matt would have done is maybe simulate the track state from the previous couple of nights so that it's got some rubber on it. I know there's different sayings, I suppose, as to Whether or not that's better or worse, I think it depends on the driver and the setup. I think it's definitely dependent on who you ask. Some drivers like the track to be worn in, just like dirt racing. Some drivers like a worn-in track. Some drivers like a fresh track. I suppose technically there is definitely one that is faster, but I think you can make your setup work for just about either one. As we approach lap 20 of this 75-lap qualifying race. Again, kind of a long one. We'll have 75 laps here for each of the qualifying races. 50 for the LCQ. It's a total of 200 laps here tonight. We have 250 more tomorrow. And that'll all count for the big one. While we ride on board here with Aaron Johnson, something we haven't yet looked at is actually the point standings for this series, the Impel Motorsports National Tour. I say that, and then Drunowski gets right to Rolf's back bumper, so I'll hold that thought for now. Put the ticker back up. The top four look like they were spreading out, but just as it looks like that would be the case, Drunowski gets up on the zero car and starts to fight. Now Joe Schaefer Jr. to his inside, battle for second. Side-by-side fight back here in the transfer. Kendrick Cryer trying to move up a spot. Jake Grout has got that position. Spencer Dickinson has an opportunity here, ladies and gentlemen, to move his way into the show. Racing side-by-side with Jake Grout down the back straightaway now. This is for the transfer spot. We still have about 50 laps to go. Great battle here between these two. Grout on the outside, Dickinson down low. And we saw both in the street stock race and the late model stock race on Monday night, the top side can definitely be really, really good defending. But the bottom tends to still be the better line. Of course, it's still decently early. Anything can happen, I suppose, between these two. Just how close they get on the front straightaway. I mean, door to door, mirror to mirror. And Jacob Schneider has a front row seat to all of it. I noticed the YouTube logo that looks like a channel name on the quarter panels there of the 81 car. I don't know if he does iRacing content, but if so, this will make a perfect clip. Following these two, trying to make his way into the Fall Brawl 250 here in 2025. Grout got the wall to turn one, fell back at the run through the corner. And now slides up slightly out of four, but gets back clear of that number 6 car for a half second. Dickinson charges back on the inside. Good run there for Spencer on the inside lane. Just about door-to-door with Jake Grout. Battle for the lead. Drunowski finally to the inside of Matt Rolfe. Door-to-door there. I mean, just inches separating these two at the stripe. Rolfe way up the racetrack there in 1 and 2. Drunowski even a little bit too low, maybe out of turn 2. These guys are giving themselves a lot of room. Love to see that, right? Definitely want to see them give each other a lot of room on the racetrack, but they could be a whole foot closer at least. But who's going to complain over cars giving each other enough room, right? Lap 33 going to become a lap 34 here. Matt Rolfe still leading, but just by a few inches over Mitch Drunowski. This is a really good fight between these two. This again for the top spot. Things have settled out behind for Jake Grout and Spencer Dickinson, so this is the best battle on the racetrack, best fight what I was going for, a mix of bite and... did it again. A mix of battle and fight, I suppose. Lap traffic is probably going to make an appearance tonight if this race goes green. If we get a caution, I think it'll be okay as Dickinson falls behind Schneider now. But this, the battle for the race lead, and the battle for, realistically, the 11th starting position. I think that's worth noting as well. This isn't just for the heat race win. This is to start 11th versus 13th. Quickly, Dickinson and Schneider, they have swapped lanes. Schneider down low, Dickinson up high. But the lead still commands our focus for now. Still side by side. I was checking into some of the conversation between some drivers in the Spencer Dickinson fan club, and it seems maybe the qualifying track wasn't entirely static. Maybe that played into some of those lap times, but hey, you get the hand you're dealt. Part of it. At least there were no drastic changes as these two stay locked side by side, lap after lap. Matt Rolfe, Mitch Dranowski. Man, inseparable. This is a perfect example of how you can use the outside lane to stay ahead through any portion of the race. Tonight, tomorrow, anytime here at Five Flags. This is really great stuff between these two. Still side by side for the race lead. Not leaving one another. Joe Schaefer Jr. nowhere to go here. Aaron Johnson just watching it happen. They are about 5 seconds behind Keith Jeffries, so I reckon they'll get there during this race if it goes green. You might even start to see him in some of the camera shots as they run the 88 car down. Third laps to go, that time by. Nothing changing between these two. Rolfe still leading technically. Dranowski on the inside, though, trying to take it away. Neither one budging at all. Dranowski gets a bunch of time in the center of the corner. Loses it on exit. Rolfe gets the run. I mean, it's just rinse and repeat every single set of corners. Here you see a look through the field. Jake Grount has lost that transfer spot, by the way. Spencer Dickinson has grabbed it from Schneider and Grount, so you see some of that battle here towards the back of the field, but up front, that's still kind of demanding our attention right now. Dranowski a little sideways that time off of 2. Let's quickly look back here at Spencer Dickinson and Jacob Schneider. Nearly side by side there through 3 and 4. We'll try to follow up with this here soon. The lead battle is just really, really good as you see it up ahead here from Schneider's perspective. .25 to go, 2/3 of the way through this heat race. Now, if we get a caution, minor thing here, we will be using the choose lane here tonight. That will be designated on the inside of turn number 3. Drivers will have been notified about that. Dickinson and Schneider, this is the battle for the transfer. Spencer currently has a spot in the feature. But Jacob Schneider could definitely ruffle his feathers as we get racing again here for the top position. Rolf and Drunowski still going back and forth. This has been, what, 25, 30 laps now? You go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. You know, if you look at the teams between these two, Matt Rolfe, T4X, it's not loading here on the graphic for some reason. Here we go. There we go. T4X. I'm unsure as to exactly where his setups come from, but Mitch Drunowski, Open Trailer Mafia, that should be an EPI set. Elite Performance Industries. We aren't going to have too many of those, I don't think, through the field. I think it's going to be mostly other setup shops like RKM, Black Magic, Caudal Chassis. I don't think we'll have too many EPI setups out there. It's interesting, these two are still out there ahead of all these other drivers, just commanding the race lead. Keith Jeffrey now about 2 seconds ahead of these cars. See if we can show it here from the blimp. There you see the leaders on the backstretch. There you see Keith Jeffrey, top of your frame. Well, he is ahead. 16 laps to go for these guys. It's going to stress these guys out for the race lead for sure. Although it's not nearly as pertinent between these two as it is between these guys. Dickinson and Schneider, they were just side by side a moment ago. They're back single file. But Dickinson very much still has a rear view mirror, as you can see here, of that black number 81 car. This is for the final transfer spot. And these are the laps where our attention will start to shift. For now, though, side-by-side racing takes precedence. That's happening here between Matt Rolfe and Mitch Drunowski. Hey, Mitch Drunowski has a Pit Stop TV logo on that car. Where'd that come from? I like this guy a whole lot more now. Lap car ahead, that is Keith Jeffrey. He should play nicely for these guys, but where is he going to go? Apron? Top of the racetrack? Who knows? He's still in the racing line. He's entitled to a piece of the racetrack, but I want to try and make it easy on these two. And the rest of them behind him. This is going to be a little bit of a scary situation. We're still locked side by side, coming to 10 to go. Lap car directly ahead of the race leaders, starting to dump dirty air on their cars. Where's Keith going to go? He goes high in one, and the leaders will go on by. 10 to go. It's going to hold up these guys. Dickinson behind Cryer. Cryer working on Tucker. It might actually help Spencer Dickinson out a little bit. Try and put some space between him and Schneider and try to get a little closer to Cryer. We've got 8 cars kind of under a blanket in this train. Drunowski starting like he's getting more of an advantage. Slides up. He led that lap. I think the 14 might be with the advantage right now. Rolf got the wall there into 3. This is incredible. This has been, what, 50 laps at this point? 40 laps? 6 laps to go. Really nice battle between these guys. And it's far from over. Matt Rolfe, Mitch Drunowski, it's starting to heat up for the transfer as well. About to be a very busy final 4 laps here at Five Flags in Heat 1. That was thousandths of a second across the stripe between the 14 and 0. Further behind, Cryer, Tucker, side by side. Oh, Spencer Dickinson, contact, he's in the wall hard. And he will not be moving on from the heat race. Drunowski trying to get clear of Matt Rolfe. I got to get a replay of that. I can't let that just go without a replay for Spencer Dickinson in that 6 car. Here is what happened down the back straightaway. Did go 1 lap further back than I wanted to. Let me speed this up a little bit. Off of turn 4, he definitely got tapped by the 81, and he just couldn't hang on to it. Into the wall there. Back to live picture. 2 to go. This time by Drunowski, the lead at the line. It's narrow though. They've split up. 5th on back. Cryer, Tucker side by side here for 5th and 6th. But for the race lead and the race win here in heat number 1. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Rolfe with the lead. One more time around this speedy half mile. Matt Rolfe on the outside. Mitch Drunowski on the inside. One more time around turns 3 and 4. And Matt Rolfe, I think it's going to be a drag race. Matt Rolfe will get the heat. Crash there between Grount and Massengill, I believe. Grount in the wall, but Matt Rolfe will advance on along with Mitch Drunowski, Aaron Johnson, Joe Schaefer, Kendrick Cryer, Kendall Tucker, and Jacob Schneider, all of course pending review, so that's unofficial at this point in time. I would expect that incident between Dickinson and Schneider to be reviewed at the very least. I'm not saying anything's going to change there, but being that there was contact, I would expect that will get a look, and potentially that incident across the stripe or those guys towards the back of the field. Here we go, heat race number 2 on deck. Let's see who we've got. 15 cars here as well per iRacing, but I believe only 14 will start, as Derek Krause, I believe, is an extra in this case. Cameron Hamilton will lead us to the green here in heat 2. Kyle Terzak from 2nd spot. Kyle Meyer, Dallas Pataska, row number 2, ahead of Justin Crow and Joel Smith. The 7th and final car, starting within a transfer position, will be Daryl Hamlin in car number 7. Jacob Hayes, car 1, will start from 8th. How about Daniel Pope and Kyle Souza back here in row 5? Moving back to row 6, RJ Williams, Brad Carpenter. Plenty of work to do here in this heat. They'll start just ahead of Derek Robinson and Nim Cross. Remember, nobody goes home out of these heat races. You just want to try and advance through them. We've still got an LCQ and 3 divisionals to give out. So still plenty of ways for the drivers that just missed the transfer there in heat race number 1 to make it into tomorrow's Fall Brawl 250. There's a look at it. The time trials set lock in 10. 2 75-lap qualifying races. Top 7 from each. The 150-lap LCQ, where the top 4 will lock in, that makes 28. 3 provisionals make 31. By the way, weather conditions have changed slightly. The ambient temp is a little bit higher. The big thing there is the track temp is actually kind of leveled off. Well, and then it goes back down to 89. So it was back up to 90. And then drops back down slightly as here we go. Restart zone coming up to kick off. Effectively heat race number 2 for the Fall Brawl 250. Green flag. Cameron Hamilton brings us to the green. Lap 1 will go in the books side by side for the top position. Hamilton and Terzak neck and neck. And they stay that way across the stripe here. Terzak with the race lead, but not by a whole lot. Hamilton down low. Nearly got that inside wall, and Turzak went fastest, a 16.155. A far cry from the 15.7s we saw in qualifying. But Turzak gets going. We'll clear car number 10 for position number 1 here in the heat. Transfer battle. How about this? Joel Smith, Darrell Hamlin has fallen back. Jacob Hayes has a spot. But Tasca has moved up into 3rd. But Tasca is making easy work of these guys. Well, maybe not. He's moved up 1 spot. Myers down 1 spot. Crow started 5th. He's working on 5th here with Joel Smith. Leader starting to get away. Turzak setting stale by a half second. Very different from what we saw there in heat number 1. This, the transfer fight. Jacob Hayes, that red number 1 car, has the final transfer spot right now. It's the 2-7 cars right behind him that want it. And Daniel Pope comes into the conversation. 1 car loose. That was RJ Williams off the corner. He got way free and checked way up right ahead here of Derek Robinson and Brad Carpenter. Here's Hamlin's perspective. Transfer battle. Jacob Hayes has got the spot. Kyle Souza trying to get it away. But he's going to start checking that mirror. Daniel Pope moving up. This is the onboard for Kyle Souza. It seems he's got company on his inside. Here comes that 11 car. Daniel Pope down low. Contact. And Souza has to let that spot go. Pope up to 8th. That holds him back though, just a little bit, the 2 of them. Creates some space now that the 11 will have to make up. And there's a battle back here between Robinson and Carpenter. This is kind of out of the conversation right now. This is the battle for 12th out of 14. The transfer, again, is the top 7. We've seen a bit of Jacob Hayes as of late. I believe we've been told he's a crew member for Lee Falk Racing. So, you know, as with many drivers in this series, very much kind of in the know, in the industry. That's a good way to put it. So he's not just one of those sim racers. He's got blood, sweat, and tears in the race cars that hit the racetrack across the landscape of short track racing. He's one of many, of course, but just one that I always recall and enjoy seeing on the racetrack. He's always got cool paint schemes to show. This is 2nd, 3rd, 4th on back. Hamilton, Pataska, Meyer, and Smith, and the battle, particularly between Meyer and Smith, starting to heat up. Side by side now between these two. Joel Smith working down low. That's 4th place. I mentioned in Heat 1 it would be for, 11th, 13th, 15th, 17th, 19th or so on the starting grid, those top 5 positions. This race, of course, will be for 12th, 14th, 16th, 18th, 20th, 22nd, and 24th. So as Nim Cross pulls off the... Oh, never mind. He's blinking, I think. Well, as Joel Smith passes for 4th, that would slot him tentatively into an 18th starting position. To give you kind of reference of where these guys are actually racing for in the starting grid for tomorrow's race. Side by side there, Pataska will relent. That is position number 3 going to Joel Smith, starting to work his way through this field. So move Joel into tentatively a 16th place starting position, Pataska down to 18th, Meyer to 20th. But Jacob Hayes has still got that 24th spot, as it would be on the grid. We're right on board here for a couple laps with Daniel Pope, and I'll fire up the lap time comparator. There you go, bottom, well, hang on. Here we go, bottom of your screen. Nearly identical last lap, but Pope has the faster lap. Very close once again. Still working on board here with Daniel Pope. He works in the 8th spot. See these lap times filing in. He's starting to trend a little bit slower now than Jacob Hayes. Not by a whole lot. Just enough to say that he is trending slower. Well, this battle's starting to get good. And Pataska allows that 88 to go by. Pataska, this could be dangerous territory for him. He looked really good on the short run, fired off really nicely. Might have been expecting a little more short run here in this heat race. He's down now to 6th. Pro goes by. You can't keep giving these spots up. Jacob Hayes now on that back bumper. Daniel Pope there as well. This could suddenly be a battle for some transfer positions, as Pataska has been sliding down the order. We'll have 40 laps to go this next time by the flag stand. And for race leader Kyle Terzak, there isn't a worry in the world. He just hopes this thing goes green. He is out ahead by 1.6 seconds over Cameron Hamilton. No contest right now, 1st and 2nd. There's Hamilton with Smith behind. Joel Smith starting to use some legs here. You know, just like Drunowski, that should be an EPI setup in that 24 car. So long run speed clearly working nicely for the 24. Now, are they on the exact same setup? I don't know, but at least built from the same camp. Maybe not the same setup, but at least built from the same camp, I would think, between the 14 and 24 cars. And Smith, I think, has got something here for Hamilton. That was halfway. Halfway down, halfway to go. Smith starting to gear up for a run at 2nd place. Hamilton is down to 1.7 seconds back from Kyle Turzak. Joel Smith poking to the inside now of Cameron Hamilton. Let's grab his telemetry here. Back on throttle. 125 or so into the corner. Hamilton just lets him go. I think that's wise, and these guys get the situation, obviously. They know there's not really a whole lot of a point to battling too hard for these spots. These are starting positions they're racing for, right? Obviously, you want to race hard to get into the show, but when you're already in a spot to make the show and you don't have, when you have a cushion, I should say, there's not much point to racing too hard for second. What is a 7-car transfer? If it was a 4-car transfer, something like that, maybe then you race a little harder, but 7-car transfer, I don't think they have to worry about it too much, so Hamilton lets Smith go. They're now 2 seconds behind Turzak, but all they got to do is make the show for tomorrow. This, of course, the battle for the final transfer. Pataska, Hayes, and Pope. Pope, the one of these three that is out at the moment as we approach 30 laps to go. These guys are getting really close. Jacob Hayes on the back bumper of that 23 car. I like using these nose and rear bumper cameras when we get a chance to do so. A lot of tracks with this Super, with how low we have the camera, it actually ends up clipping through the racetrack and kind of disappearing out of the world for a second. But here, with Hayes, I guess his car is a little higher off of the racetrack, so it only blinks out in that one spot into 3. Right there. He is right up underneath the back end of the 23 car. He is really, really close to Pataska in the corners, and this, of course, the look back. Some space now ahead of Pataska. He's just got to focus on that one car behind him. He does not want to fall back into 7th and be on the line. Certainly wants to stay in the transfer spots regardless. And Pope, obviously, his work is very clear right now. What he's got to do, he's got to pass either one of these 2 cars. Whoever ends up in front of him here when he actually gets an opportunity, as RJ Williams is right up behind Kyle Souza all of a sudden. The 21, don't count him out. Let's fire something up here. Let's punch in a few drivers in our lap time comparison. So here's a look at Hayes. That's the wrong order. Hang on. I need Pope here and Williams here. There we go. Hayes, Pope, Souza, Williams. So this is 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. This is the final transfer and the 3 that are knocking on the door. Williams, these last few laps, he's now matching Souza, but I reckon he's got a faster car. And he's lapping faster right now than Pope. Right there, Williams is faster than Souza. Again, I think Williams being held up right now by Souza is why he was slower that time than Pope. But I think RJ is getting quick here right at the end. Now, I don't know how much this is confidence for the LCQ here in a moment, if RG does have to go through it, that his car kind of just got going around lap 40 to 50, and now as we approach lap 60 is really starting to shine. I think you want to fire off a little sooner, maybe lap 30 for that kind of purpose, but here he is on the inside of Kyle Souza. This is for the 9th position. Again, he'll still have a long ways to go. He's got to get through Pope and then still a transfer spot. But this would at least be one step along the way for RJ. As we near 15 laps to go, this 21 all of a sudden looking better and better. Lapping a lot closer to Hayes right now than either of the other two cars right in front of him. Nim Cross having some blinks, but Derek Robinson has parked it, by the way, about 17 laps ago. Out front, it is all Kyle Turzak. There he is through turns 1 and 2. Hooking that white line, I mean, nearly on the apron. Driver out of Virginia racing for, Ryan Kuhn Motorsports. Got that Super Series win at IRP recently, of course. In that race, he did have the benefit of starting on pole through the top 8 metric, but did a fantastic job to hang on to that spot and drive away to a race win, first of his career. Joel Smith trying to chase him down. I think at this point, Joel will be happy with a second place effort. I talked about him potentially starting around the 18th spot earlier. Now he's in line to start 14th, so up a couple of rows. Certainly worth the battles that he's gone through to pass Meyer, Hamilton, and some others. There's Cameron Hamilton started this race on pole. That's okay. He's down a couple of spots. Still a solid effort from that 10 car. Kyle Meyer right behind. Justin Crow started 5th. Is currently in 5th. Doing a good job of keeping that 86 where he needs to be. As we approach 10 laps to go, there's Dallas Pataska. You see Jacob Hayes just behind. Pataska got up to 3rd after starting 4th and has been falling back slowly ever since. At one point it was pretty quick the way he started to drop. Meanwhile, Jacob Hayes started 8th, drove quickly into a transfer spot. But he has got Daniel Pope just behind, and I would not want to have that 11 car in my rearview mirror right now. Pope started back in 9th, up a spot into 8th. Souza started 10th, similarly up a spot into the 9th spot. RJ Williams, same deal there, up 1 position. They've all passed Darrell Hamlin, who runs back here in the 11th position. Hamlin having some struggles. He gets the wall there on the front straightaway. Hoping to see the 7 advance, but it's going to likely be through the LCQ. Of course, Carpenter and Cross and Robinson will all be in that same boat as well. Watching Pataska, Hayes, Pope, Souza, Williams. All in a line here. 5 cars under a blanket. 6 laps to go, this time by the flag stand. It's all starting to pick up. These guys are starting to get a little desperate, moving around the racetrack. I say it a lot. You can never beat some guy, you never beat somebody following their tire tracks. You've got to move around, got to try something different. Here we go. Hayes to the outside. He has position on the 23. Might have just thought of that, but probably should have done that 20 laps ago. Puts on the afterburners, drives right around Dallas Pataska. Made the 23 look like he was standing still. Pataska now to the final transfer position here in this heat race. But here comes Daniel Pope. 2 laps to go the next time around. That was 3 right there for these guys. Pope was very sideways. Leader on the line. Right about here, I believe. There's Turzak, yeah, across the line. 2 to go for him. There's that transfer battle. Pope on the outside now. He's got the position at the line, but Pataska wants it back. Leader at the line right around now for the white flag, presented by Whiplash Sim Cams. One more time here. Souza down low. Pataska slips up. One final lap here in heat race number 2. Pataska up the racetrack. He is out of here. Can Souza get there? Williams takes a look. Kyle Terzak will win this heat, but for the transfer, Souza, Williams, they put on a great effort. They can't get there. The final transfer will be Pope. It'll be Terzak, Smith, Hamilton, Meyer, Crow, Hayes, and then Pope. Pope, the final transfer here through heat race number 2. Kyle Souza, RJ Williams, and others will have to go through the LCQ. Speaking of the LCQ, that's coming up next. Now, let me organize this. We've been putting it together here in the background during this heat race. That's why I've been quiet every once in a while, making sure the names are right and that we can go ahead and do this smoothly. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my trusty wheel. Give me just a moment to properly get this into the broadcast scene. I promise, I'm here. I'm working on making sure this looks right. But we are going to do a redraw for the top 10 positions. So the drivers that qualified in the top 10, they've been entered into this redraw, right? And we are going to redraw for each position. You'll see it all live. Full transparency, these 10 positions. And what we're going to do, once I get this on your screen here, what we're going to do is just go down the order from 1st to 10th. I think that's the most fair way to do it. That way everybody has a chance at pole. OBS is not want to work with me. I promise I am working on this. Trying to... it would have been a lot harder for me to do this during the actual race, but we've got it. Give me just 2 seconds. Tell you what, let me restart this. Oh my gosh, I promise, I know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm closer than ever before. I was having an issue for whatever reason with a previous window in OBS. I don't know why, but we can go ahead and do it now. Let's go ahead and get this on screen. And try to make sure it doesn't clip any other graphics. Okay. It's not the prettiest way to do this. I'm sure there's a better way. But for the use case for tonight, I think it's going to do. So you can see we've got all 10. Alex McCullum, Ryan Kuhn, Colin Allman, Jacob Hardwick, Steele Langford, Riley Stengham, Parker Traves, Josh Cottle, Chase Williamson, and Tracy Petter. All 10. So you can see this happen live. Matt's watching. This is live for the redraw for these 10 positions. Let me quiet the sim down here briefly so we can kind of focus. These top 10 positions. Are you ready? We're going to redraw live for these 10 spots. Trying to build up some hype. So I know why you guys are saying doing 10th to 1st. But if I do it this way, and Matt said I could do dealer's choice. If we do it this way, everybody has an equal chance right off the bat for pole. I know it can build suspense otherwise, but this way everybody has an equal chance for pole. I think that's fair. I'm watching. I see Steel. I see you. I'll give you a chance here. We're running out of time. I'll give you. You got like 3 seconds if you gotta convince me otherwise. Matt said dealer's choice. I think this is the fair way to do it. Everybody has a chance. I'm just gonna do it. All right. See my cursor? Maybe. I don't know if you do. I'm going to click to spin. Everybody has a chance at pole. Top 10. Here we go. For pole position, Steel Langford, you are maybe? No! Riley Stengham. Whoa! That's incredible. Riley Stengham will lead us to the green. We will remove him. All right. That's position number 1. Position number 2. Steel, I thought you had it. I think this is going to Josh Cottle. It's going to be close. Parker Traves will join Riley Stengham on the front row. We'll knock through the rest of these. Position number 3 coming to the green. Tracy Petter, I think. Yes, Tracy Petter from 10th to 3rd. And position number 4 outside of row number 2. A lot of good drivers still on this drawing board here. Chase Williamson. He'll start 4th. All right, 5 to go, right? 6 to go. I can count. 6 to go. For 5th position inside of row 3. We'll quiet down the sim a little more. Turn the volume down. Colin Allman. That's position 5. I think that's a couple of spots down from where he qualified, but ahead of some really good drivers. 6th place, joining him on row 3. Here we go. Ooh, Alex McCullum. I mean, these are 5 really good drivers. McCullum, Kuhn, Harberts, Langford, Cottle. Any one of them could win. That's big. Alex McCullum going to start from 6th. 4 to go. Steel Langford. There you go, Steel. Might not be 1st, but 7th ahead of some other really good drivers. And 8th place coming up here. 3 drivers left in the running. Oh my gosh, the slide for Ryan Kuhn. Josh Cottle will start 8th. 2 to go. It's really just a flip of a coin here. 50-50. 9th place. Harberts or Kuhn? Who's it going to be? Jacob Harberts. Ryan Kuhn. That is a diabolical slide. I mean, there's no point in spinning here. Can we spin? Okay, we'll spin it. We'll give Ryan his spin. But Ryan Kuhn will start from 10th. Well, that's the wheel. So Matt, I guess we can let the session just kind of play out, but I know there's mixed there's mixed feelings. I'm watching Spencer's Discord light up. I know there's mixed feelings about it. I think that was a fair way to do it. Again, I initially wanted to go with you know, from 10th up to 1st, but that would have been anticlimactic. When we drew for 2nd, you would have known who started 1st. I feel like if, you know, doing it the way we did it, I don't know, it just made a lot more sense. Feel free to discuss. Roast me in the Discord. 1 minute to go here in warm-up. LCQ action coming at you. 50 laps. For this LCQ. It's standard SARA race. It's everything you would expect. This will transfer 4. There's a 3-car provisional. So I will check with Matt about the provisionals. So, once again, if you're just joining us, this is kind of what the night has consisted of for this evening's broadcast. We had time trials earlier, straight up single car qualifying, one at a time, old-fashioned style. The top 10 locked in. We just redrew their 10 positions, reordered them by the fate of the wheel. I clicked it, we saw what happened, and that's how that is. So, Riley Stensham will lead us to the green tomorrow night. Then we had those two 75-lap qualifying races, heat races, whatever you want to call them, the top 7 from each of those locked in. Now we have the 50-lap LCQ. Literally last chance qualifier. The name explains it all. This is the last chance for drivers to race their way in, control their own fate, to make the show. This is for positions 25, 26, 27, and 28 on the grid. Then 3 more will make it by virtue of the provisionals. Now, on the ticker, this is just saying race, it's not saying LCQ or Conti or anything. The way the session was structured basically just tells all the drivers that are already advanced to just not grid up, all right? All the drivers that still have to advance, they obviously will grid up and just lead us to the green in the positions that they have not yet advanced through. Hopefully that makes sense. It's just kind of how the session was structured and all of that. Before we go any further, I do want to give a big thank you, though, to all of our partners with this series, because this series has been so much fun to cover. 2024, 2025, and hopefully 2026 and many years ahead. This has been a treat covering the Sim Auto Racing Association. Matt Rolfe, thank you to you directly and everybody else that works with SARA to make these races possible and bring these to Pit Stop TV. A big thank you though to Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine, Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, Not Race Parts, RJW21 Management, SARA Templates, SimRatMarket.com, the Association, Throneburg Construction, Trackside Threads, and Velocity Motorsports. Let's take a look at the, well, I'm not going to go through the full grid because the grid graphic would be kind of messed up here. So, from Heat 1, it looks like Jacob Schneider has been DQ'd, and it appears as though, well, I'll let Matt, I guess, clarify. Matt, I'm sure you're watching. I'll let you clarify exactly who got in as a result of that, but it seems Schneider will have to race his way in, so he has a move to the rear of the field for this one. So out front, it'll be Kyle Souza and Jake Grout on the front row, Jake down low, Souza up top. Then RJ Williams, this is, Grant Brown inside, RJ Williams outside, Brian Tedeschi, Daryl Hamlin, Spencer Dickinson, Brad Carpenter, Sam Roush, Nim Cross, Steven Oberstadt, Derek Robinson, Keith Jeffrey. There we go. Restart zone for the race start here for the LCQ. We are racing LCQ racing here at Five Flag Speedway. "14 cars, 4 positions. Grant Brown on the inside. He's working on Kyle Souza, loose off the corner. That's okay. Hang on to it, guys. All over the racetrack here to turn 1. Nearly 3 wide. RJ Williams is in that bunch. And Spencer Dickinson, as one is around. That's Derek Robinson. That might be our first caution of the night. No, he toes in time. We stay green. Brian Tedeschi then up to second. This is crazy out front. Dickinson into a transfer already. Spencer started, well, listed as 23rd, or 33rd. I guess that's not going to give us a great start. As Souza's around, that I think will be a yellow. Yes, first caution of the night. Kyle Souza. Caution free. Heat race 1 and 2. It wasn't until here in the LCQ that we finally got a yellow flag in this one. This was a few moments ago into turn 1. That's when we saw Robinson around the lap prior. And then here we go. Kyle Souza off the corner, just got loose. Looped it around. Thankfully, it was very light contact, kind of a glancing blow for Kyle into the inside wall. Not too crazy at all. Derek Robinson has parked it. It looks like he is done. And Souza sits on the pit lane. He's been down there for a while now, but he will exit. 14 seconds. Wonder if there was any tire changes there. I don't think there was any tire changes, so maybe putting fuel in to change the balance of the car, or making maybe just adjustments. I suppose it also could have been damage. He did nose it into the wall. I didn't think there was any damage, but I guess it could be stuff that we can't see. So Jake Grout leads. In the top four are the transfers. So Grout, Tedeschi, Brown, and Dickinson currently hold those spots. Darrell Hamlin, he runs fifth. So when we restart, he's got the best shot of anybody. RJ Williams as well. And here's the choose. Talked about it earlier. It's our first choose of the night. I suppose these guys could have chosen different lanes than I was expecting. I forgot we actually have the choose tonight. But they chose as expected, really. I think Tedeschi was second, so he chose low, right behind Grout. Brown chose high. Dickinson followed, but then Hamlin and Williams split the choice. Hamlin low, Williams high, and then you see everybody else behind. Roush low, Carpenter high, Cross low, Oberstadt high. All right, let's try this thing again. Restart coming at you, first of the night. Restart zone there. Jake Grout launches. Grant Brown, second place. We're racing again here in the LCQ. Tedeschi up into Brown. Hamlin into Dickinson. Big moments there through 3 and 4. Hamlin slips away into third. He gets into Tedeschi. We're crashing. Maybe. I don't know. What are we going to do? What the heck just happened? What in the world? I mean, Grout is gone. What? I mean, no caution. There's not going to be any penalties or anything out of that, I don't think. Roush is now up underneath Dickinson. I think we got a replay. Bear with me just a second while I find the right spot here. This is back to the restart. So we'll watch with this for a second and try to figure out what in the world just happened. Watch Hamlin, that black and red and yellow number 7. Well, and that was 3 and 4, where Tedeschi got into Brown. And down here in 1 and 2, Hamlin just gets into Tedeschi. And there you see Tedeschi was just trying to hang on to the race car. Everybody scattered and scrambled. One more time. So Tedeschi, the 29 down here in turn 3. They just made mutual contact, I feel like. And Hamlin just got into Dickinson a little bit. But then down here in the corner, Hamlin gets into Tedeschi, and man, Dickinson got in the 7. I mean, that is calamity. And this, of course, shakes everything up, because now, as things have gone on a little bit while that replay was taking place, Dickinson is back ahead of Hamlin. So it's Dickinson 4th, Hamlin 5th. That is the transfer between these two. Dickinson would have it. Hamlin is out. And RJ Williams has gone from, multiple positions out of the transfer in his heat race to 3rd. He's putting chase to Grant Brown. Grant hasn't run one of these National Tour races in a little while. I mentioned earlier he was in the booth for Martinsville and Nashville, and very much thank him for doing so, joining us up here on the broadcast booth for those races. But good to see him back on the racetrack in more than just the Super Series and going for it here in the National Tour. He runs 2nd. And he might have some competition here. RJ Williams looking around him. Some great battles further back. Those are out of the transfer spots, though. I mean, you see what's going on here. Hamlin is just sliding back. He's gone from 5th to 9th the last few laps. That promotes Samuel Roush up to the first car out. But he's starting to sink back lower and lower behind Dickinson. What this does do is present Schneider a chance, I feel like. We're nearly halfway through this race. And he is on that back bumper of Sam Roush, where he made a little bit of contact with Dickinson there in the heat. That sent Dickinson packing, more or less. But Schneider was moved out of the heat transfer. These two battling for the first spot that would currently be out of the race. Now, between the remaining drivers that do not transfer, there will be 3 provisionals. So it's between Sam Roush, Jacob Schneider, Brad Carpenter, Kyle Souza, Daryl Hamlin, Stephen Oberstadt, Keith Jeffrey, Brian Tedeschi, Nim Cross, and Derek Robinson currently. There would be 3 provisionals as we tick across the line for halfway. By the way, it was Blake Massengill who was promoted into the race, so a saving grace for Massengill. And you know what? I'll make that lucky performance, lucky break of the day for Blake Massengill to be 1 spot out when the race ended, to then being promoted into tomorrow's feature race by virtue of that disqualification for Jacob Schneider. That is pretty darn lucky, if you ask me, for Blake Massengill and that number 10. Nim Cross has just parked it. So Nim, I think, has had enough here today. He has not had the best of days, unfortunately. Really good looking paint scheme, just needs a little more oomph to get up there and fight with these guys, I think, to make it into the race. I'd like to see him get a provisional, though. Maybe tweak on the car a little more overnight and through the day tomorrow. Try to find a little more speed. See what he can do in the 250 lap for tomorrow. Inside of 20 to go now in this last chance qualifier. Jake Grout has set sail, much like Kyle Terzak in his heat. Grant Brown second, RJ Williams third, Spencer Dickinson fourth. Those would be the 3 transfers behind Grout right now. Sam Roush in the 5th spot, first car outside looking in. Jacob Schneider, second car outside. Then Kyle Souza, Brad Carpenter, Daryl Hamlin, and Keith Jeffrey, the top 10 currently. Watching this fight for the final transfer spot right now, Dickinson and Roush. By the way, I've received clarification. Thank you, Matt Rolfe, for how the provisional will be done here today. For the 3 provisionals, that is. One of those spots, all 3 has a different qualification, I guess. So if you want to try and figure this out, be my guest. One of those spots will go to the fastest driver from qualifying that did not advance. That seems like right now that could maybe be Schneider, perhaps even Hamlin or Tedeschi. I'm just going off of memory. I don't have numbers in front of me. I'm not entirely sure. One will go to the highest driver on National Tour points that's not already in, which I haven't even looked at yet, by the way. I guess it'd be a good time to do so once this race wraps up. And then one is an admin or promoter's choice. So there's 3 different ways that an eliminated driver can still make it into this race. So even when we throw the checkered flag in 12 more laps, it's not completely game over. really for anybody. I mean, anybody will still have a chance, technically, for that promoter's choice to make it into the race. Here's the battle between Sam Roush and Spencer Dickinson. Let's compare some lap times, shall we? Dickinson on the left side, Roush on the right side, showing their last couple of laps. I mean, very close. Very, very close, as that was 10 laps to go, coming to 9. Although Dickinson has the fastest lap, and that time he drove away from Sam Roush about a whole tenth of a second. And you can see that from that onboard, that difference that made for Dickinson, especially out of turn 4 that last time around. I just don't think Roush is out of it. That time he was quicker. Putting the pressure back on Spencer. 7 laps to go, this time by side for the 4th position, the final transfer spot here in the LCQ. Also, these are 2 really good-looking race cars. Really, 4 really good-looking race cars between the 14, the 21, the 6, and the 13. I'm sorry, Jacob, but the all-black car, I mean, it's got its place in short-track racing, but the 4 ahead of you look really, really good. Schneider, look at him. He's suddenly in this. This blimp camera, I think, shows a lot in this battle. Schneider, though, getting alongside Roush might hold them both back. And that was 5 laps to go. It's do or die. There's still a chance for either of these guys to make it through if they get eliminated through the provisionals. But they got to get going as Williams gets to the inside of Brown just ahead. This is going to bunch all 5 of these guys up. That was 4 to go, coming to 3. 3 laps remaining in the LCQ for the 11th annual SimRat Market Fall Brawl 250. Who's going to make it in? I've got no clue. Jake Grout, he's the only lock at this point. 3 seconds ahead, 2 laps to go for car 49. The rest of these guys beats me. Roush now technically into 6th across the stripe. Here's his onboard. He's got Schneider outside, Williams directly ahead, and then Spencer Dickinson. White flag, 1 to go. 3 wide to turn 1, Roush looked. White flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Jake Grout is out ahead. Roush checks up. Williams checks up. This is for the transfer. Williams and Schneider beating and banging through 4. Williams is going to have it. Grout wins the LCQ. Oh, maybe not. Who had it? 3/1000ths of a second. RJ Williams, the final driver to transfer in through the LCQ. That was a proper drag race. 3/1000ths of a second. Jacob Schneider eliminated, but still has a way in through the provisionals. It's not all a lost cause. So Matt has a chance to sort it out now while we take a look back at the replay there at the end between those guys. That was incredible. This, I believe, is coming to white flag. Grant Brown is kind of taken off at this point. RJ's car fell off a cliff. And I think that spooked him. I think Roush to the inside there spooked him a little bit because he checks up there in 1 and 2, gets tapped by Roush. That takes Roush out of it. And then you have down here in 3, that's just racing. I think Schneider was unhappy, but that's just racing, and then he nearly got it back anyways. And then I don't know what that's all about, crowding him down the racetrack, but yeah, I get it. You wanted to make it in. Everybody else did too, but I think that's just pure racing right there. Let's back it up slightly more. This is the lap prior. Unofficial word from Matt Rolfe. Oh, and Schneider even got to Dickinson there into 3. So, I mean, I hear ya. I know you're frustrated. Let's take one more look at that while I mention the unofficial provisionals. Unofficially, currently, would be Daryl Hamlin from Time Trials. I had a sneaking suspicion he was up there in qualifying. So unofficially, he would make it in as the fastest car who was not already advanced. As Dickinson, man, he was sideways, and that's what bunched him up there in 3 to even allow Williams to get to him. And then unofficially as well, Keith Jeffrey from Points. We'll take a look at the points graphic in just 1 second. Of course, the admin choice will be determined a little bit later based on who's left. So that's it for the racing action here, but let's take a look back at the point standings coming into this round. So, of course, this is round 7. We haven't even looked at the schedule yet tonight. It was right to qualifying on there, on through there. But here's a look at the schedule for this season. So you can see round 7, we're getting down to the nitty gritty, as they say. Just a couple of races left to go. We have the Fall Brawl this week, well, tomorrow. The Thanksgiving Classic the week after Thanksgiving. And then it's out to Kern for the Nautical Marine Kern Winter Classic. That event was added, I believe, back in August. So 9 races this season. The goalpost removed slightly, but I like it. I think Kern is a really cool racetrack to go to. And the points coming into tonight, then, let's take a look at that. So we can kind of theorize, actually, who would get the points provisional. I'm sure it would be Keith Jeffrey. I very much believe Matt, but we can double check, I guess. Regardless, these are the points coming into this weekend, and I'll take a look at this again tomorrow. Alex McCollum with the lead by 9 over Cole Cabry. I don't think Cole is racing this week. I didn't see him in qualifying, so I don't recall saying his name earlier, so that's a glaring omission, as they say. But Josh Caudle, Kyle Terzak, Trevor Edwards, all chasing. I think realistically, the expectation would be it's between Alex and Cole. I'm sure there's a drop week to keep Cole in the battle, but definitely seems to be between those two. But there's still, third on back to figure out. Caudle and Terzak come in tied. Edwards just ahead of Hamilton, Petter, Smith. Horton has that win from Nashville. He gets ahead of guys like Parrish and Dronowski. Meyer in the top 12. He has that win from Langley. So looking at the drivers that have not yet advanced, I mean, a lot of them are part-timers. Schneider, Roush, Souza. I believe Souza runs every race, but he's just lower on the points. But Schneider and Roush, I believe, are part-timers. Certainly Oberstadt, Hamlin, part-timers, Carpenter as well. So I definitely think Keith Jeffrey is the points provisional. Gotcha, yeah, Cabry out of town. That makes sense. There's a lot of different races across the country still happening these next couple of weeks. And I know he's very active still in his racing career, and who knows what he's got going on anyways. But that's a look at the point standings coming into this week. Again, we'll talk more about this tomorrow and how it affects, going into that race, the big race, the actual race tomorrow evening. But this is a look at things, at least, kind of where things lie. The other thing that I want to mention, and of course we'll take a look at this again tomorrow night, but for those of you still around, we'll take a look now as well, is the power rankings. I think we might have got a preview of this Monday as well, but the power rankings coming into this week, Alex McCollum, top of the list. And this, again, this counts for not just the National Tour, but also the SARA Super Series, because the driver base is relatively the same as far as the full-time drivers. So this is across both series. And Alex McCollum, top of the list. It really, as unfortunate as Concord was for Cole, that is why he has dropped out of that top spot. Cole Cabry not able to make Concord, or whatever happened with his iRacing sim that held him back from racing. He couldn't race. So I think Cole, if he had raced, he'd probably still at least be even or close to Alex, or maybe even ahead. But realistically, because he had no result from Concord, he has dropped down. Terzak, though, has jumped up significantly the last handful of weeks. He's been getting really good lately. Won his heat tonight. He should grid up, I believe, 12th tomorrow. Josh Caudle, He'll be starting in the top 10. Trevor Edwards. I don't recall seeing Trevor, actually. Yeah, no Trevor this week. That's big. Jacob Harbert, he'll be starting up towards the front. Spencer Dickinson. It's a big deal. He's in the top 10 in power rankings, but he's starting from nearly the very back of the field. Should be 27th tomorrow on the grid. Cam Hamilton, of course, he was pretty good earlier. Came through his heat race. Parker Traves, Daniel Pope, worth noting as well. Pope did make it through his heat. Traves, I believe, in the top 10. So that kind of gives you more of a clear picture as to who's good. And I think that's going to be it. Do we have any drivers that we can talk to briefly? Well, I think we'll let that be. I'll tell you what. I'll propose something to anybody still watching. You can let me know whether it's in the Spencer Dickinson Discord or here in the comments or message us or me directly. Do we want to have a pre-race show tomorrow? Do we want to do something a little special? Come on air a little bit earlier and talk to a couple of drivers pre-race? It's something we can do. Something I've been looking at, thinking about. So if that's something that people would watch, if that's something people would tune in for, I think we can do that tomorrow. This kind of event warrants it. This is the kind of soft launch, I guess. So if that sounds like something you guys would be interested in for tomorrow's race, give me a shout. I think we can figure it out. I think we can make that happen. Regardless, really cool night of racing. That's how things wrap up for night number 3 of the 2025 Sim Rap Market Fall Brawl 250. Next up for Pit Stop TV, of course, well, it's day 4 of the Fall Brawl. We've got 250 laps tomorrow night to add to the 7th edition of the Impel Motorsports National Tour in this calendar year. Then we have some time off before we go back racing with the BRB Sundance Pro Series. That'll be at Chicagoland Speedway, on December 2nd. And then we have the Privateer Race Products Thanksgiving Classic from Southern National with late model stock cars on track on December 4th. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. You can keep up with everything Pit Stop TV across social media down below. And one more time, big thank you to our partners with the series: Cody Williams Design, Crow Sim Shots, Impel Motorsports, Nautical Marine, Only Short Tracks, Privateer Race Products, RJW21 Management, SARA Templates, SimRapMarket.com, the Association, Thornburg Construction, Trackside Threads, Velocity Motorsports, and our partners here at the channel, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. We'll see you all tomorrow. Race number 7, points racing tomorrow in the Simrat Market Fall Brawl 250. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We'll catch you all tomorrow. 8:30 if we want to do a pre-race show, 8:45 otherwise. We'll check in. 5 flags coming up, 250 laps. Don't miss it.